Wait, who's shut down conversations?
Elon Musk.
Where?
In his company. It was, I think, was this New York Times today? I read only respectable publications, I can assure you.
You read, it sounds like you only read publications that you already agree with.
Bill Maher invited a seriously radical leftist onto Real Time, and what happened next? He had to put her in her place. After she started firing off some truly ridiculous statements on his own show, Bill Maher had no choice but to step in and shut it down. Now look, Bill Maher is a liberal. He's left-leaning, no question about it, but even he has a line. There comes a point where you simply cannot just sit there and let someone say whatever the hell they want, especially not on your platform, in your house. When you're the host, you have a responsibility to push back when things go off the rails, and that's exactly what happened here. This was one of those moments where Bill Maher said enough, and he handled it. Let's get into the clip, because watching him dismantle this radical leftist for her outrageous comments on Real Time is something you've got to see for yourself.
He didn't really conform to what was going on in my life. And so I'm looking backwards, not forwards there, because the real answer to the question is no one knows what the long-term prognosis for the economy is, and don't trust anyone.
But we have problems we haven't had in a very long time, like inflation.
Yes. So,
and certainly we have been running up the debt, but not the levels that we have in recent years, where we just sort of went, oh, numbers don't mean anything. I remember when, in 08, when we passed, or was it 09 when Obama first got in, and the bill to bail out the economy was like $780 billion. And they were like, well, we can't go to $1 trillion.
Right.
That would just freak people out. And now they write it like it's the dinner check.
Right.
Just, I don't know where that leads. I don't know if that's, and I don't.
But we are in highly unusual conditions. I think it's worth saying that. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I think Joe Biden.
We're not in the middle of one, and it's,
no, we're not,
and it's debatable as to whether we should have lost our shit to that degree. And there are also people who say lockdowns didn't really change anything.
But I think what David was getting at was the deep, long-term structural problems in our economy, which President Biden was seriously trying to address, and every other Democrat in Congress except Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. The one thing I agree with Joe Manchin on is, if you don't like me, elect more Democrats. So I hope that what we have seen will not depress turnout for 2022 and beyond, because we really need it. All of the things that were in the Build Back Better bill, so many of them were so popular and so vital. I mean, the pandemic revealed, just to take one, that we have a child care crisis in this economy. I mean, women just hemorrhaged out of the workforce because they were trying to raise their kids at home. They were trying to deal with all these issues, and they couldn't take it anymore. So that's just one index of many, many deep structural problems that we have that Democrats have tried to deal with, and they're being blocked by this crazy Republican Party that's caught between its rich donors like the Kochs and this inflamed base that believes in widespread pedophilia. But I think it is important to pull.
Does this woman even listen to herself? Because that entire statement she just made was pure, unfiltered insanity. Let's break it down. When it comes to the Epstein situation, yes, there were right-wingers involved. Yes, there were Republicans on that list. Nobody's denying that. But it was not exclusively Republicans. And anyone trying to sell you that narrative is either lying or completely delusional. If we're being honest and actually looking at the scoreboard, there are probably far more left-wingers on that list than right-wingers. We may never know the full truth, but let's not pretend this was a one-sided scandal. And then she has the nerve to say Republicans are the ones blocking bills. Democrats do that all the time. That's just politics. So what exactly are we talking about here? Now, this person, I believe this is Nancy McLean, if I'm not mistaken. She represents a very specific type, and that type is either so completely consumed by political tribalism that their brain has turned to mush, or they know exactly what they're doing and they're just selling a product. They know better, but they also know this kind of talk is what gets clicks, what gets applause, what moves the crowd. So they run with it anyway. Either way, both options infuriate me equally. I genuinely cannot stand this archetype of person. I just can't.
Larger, issues that are at stake, and I think David did a really nice job.
So let me ask this. It's kind of anecdotal, but so if the answer is taxing the rich more.
Yes.
I'm going to own up to it. I'm rich. I don't feel that bad about it. I appreciate HBO's generosity all these years. So how could it be that, I can't remember the last year when I paid less than half of what I make to the government. I pay more than half because it's 39% federal and out
Ridiculous.
here 13, and that's without, fees and getting your solar hooked up and,
But you should become a billionaire because billionaires, it was just exposed with the effort to get to a 20%.
I'd love to.
Because they're only paying.
Do you have a kit that I could?
They're only paying an average of 8% a year, while the rest of us schmoes are paying, a third.
Is that what it is? I'm just a
I don't
schmuck
think it
who
was the
pays
Times. I think it was
my
Washington
taxes.
Post. I've slipped from y'all.
Washington Post is excellent.
How can I pay so much in taxes and yet still so much of the country is living paycheck to paycheck? I mean, it's the answer. I don't know how high they can go.
I think the two things are.
Look, it's genuinely ridiculous. I'm not sitting on Bill Maher money, not even close. But I do run multiple online businesses, and I can tell you firsthand the tax burden is no joke. You have to learn how to play the game, work every angle, or you will get absolutely crushed come tax season. Now, that stat about billionaires paying around 8% in taxes, if that's accurate, that's not a government conspiracy. That's a skill issue, plain and simple. Yes, the government cozies up to certain billionaires, that's real, but that's not why they pay less. They pay less because they have access to better accountants, better lawyers, better financial strategies. They've done the research, they've built the infrastructure, and they understand the rules of the game better than the average person does. And here's the thing, we're all playing under the same rulebook, same game, they've just mastered it. That's the difference. And speaking of which, I'm pretty sure Nancy McLean pulls in a solid income herself. So if she's so fired up about billionaires not paying enough taxes, maybe she should lead by example. Go ahead, Nancy. Volunteer 75% of your income. Since you care so deeply about tax fairness, put your money where your mouth is so the rest of us can breathe a little. Because honestly, I don't want to pay any more than I have to. The government takes your money and either flushes it down the drain or ships it overseas. Either way, it's gone. So yeah, hard pass.
A lot in taxes. But I
wouldn't mind if I didn't also have this other thing on my shoulders, which is so many people are suffering and I can't even make a living, which I want to help.
The two things I would say are, one, rich people pay a lot less in taxes as a share of their income than they used to, than they did in the 50s and 60s and 70s.
It's my accountant.
And two, no, it's the law. It really is. And two,
is it I'm not married?
If you look at how rich people,
because that one's not on the table.
If you look at how rich people have done, even after taxes, over the last few generations, and not just rich people, upper middle class people as well, people like university professors and journalists at national publications, they've done fine, and even after taxes, and working class people haven't.
Okay. All right. What are the panel's thoughts on Elon Musk becoming Twitter's single largest shareholder? I'm for it. Do you think his influence will have a positive or negative impact on the platform?
I loved hearing from the employees who had worked with him, under him in previous.
Real quick, last thing I'll say on the tax conversation before this person starts talking again. I just find it genuinely hilarious how the left's entire economic philosophy boils down to 3 words: tax the rich. That's it. That's the plan. And at its core, that is one of the most defeatist mindsets I've ever heard. It's essentially saying, I trust a bloated, inefficient government to spend this money better than the people who actually earned it. The government, the same institution that can't balance its own budget, is somehow going to be a better steward of wealth than the individuals who grinded and sacrificed to build it. Come on, here's a wild idea. Instead of standing on a street corner begging for billionaires to be taxed more, how about you just go get rich? I know, crazy concept, but if you actually got wealthy, you could fund the exact causes you care about directly with zero bureaucratic waste in between. You want to help animals? Get rich, open a shelter. You're passionate about the homeless? Get rich, fund the solution yourself. You have the power to make real change, but that requires actual work. It requires more than showing up to a protest holding a sign, and that's exactly why it won't happen. Because complaining is easy, building something is hard, so they'll keep chanting, tax the rich, instead of doing what it actually takes to become rich and make a difference. The option is on the table for anyone willing to put in the work, and I mean that sincerely, anyone.
Oh my God, he has shut down conversations before. Will he be able to do this here, et cetera? I'm not a big...
Wait, who's shut down conversations?
Only Musk.
Where?
In his company. It was, I think, was this New York Times today? I read only respectable publications, I can assure you.
It sounds like you only read publications that you already agree with.
Not true. Amazon
sounds that way
figured me out because I read so much conservative stuff.
You know
I read all.
And honestly, Bill Maher had her completely figured out, and he's right. That's the reality. That's the reality for this entire crowd of people. They don't actually want news. They don't want debate. They don't want their ideas challenged. What they want is an echo chamber. They want their own beliefs fed back to them on repeat, dressed up as insight. That's it. And the second someone steps outside those carefully drawn lines, they come after you. They report you, they mass flag you, they do everything in their power to get you wiped off every platform they can reach. Bill Maher saw right through it, and good on him for saying it out loud. Alright, drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think about this whole Bill Maher versus Nancy McLean situation on Real Time. I personally cannot stand this type of person, but I'm genuinely curious where you guys land on this one. Let's hear it.